Hey, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Morning Scone presented by Boudreaux's Mixers. If you haven't done it yet, pick it up, y'all. They got the Bloody Mary mix and the Margarita mix. Louisiana company, and thrilled to have them aboard. If it looks a little different this morning, it probably should. My normal, or sounds different. My normal tripod and microphone I left at the radio station yesterday. So my apologies that if it looks different and sounds different, it should. So two big things I want to hit on. LSU tries to continue its season today at the SEC baseball tournament, and then Myles Brennan's father speaks about the quarterback competition, and it's actually really good news for LSU. So let me start with LSU baseball, though, and then we'll get to the football stuff. 4:30 scheduled first pitch. Do me a solid. Whenever you say your morning prayers today, or at some point during the day, pray either for rain or that the first two games of the day go like 18 innings. Because going head-to-head against LSU athletics sucks. And I will be on the air at 4:30 with my radio show, and I would rather not go against LSU baseball. So I would like for that game to be delayed till about 6 p.m. if at all possible, so that way I can watch the entire thing and I'm not head-to-head on it for my radio show today. So do me a solid with that. It will be Nick Bush against Connor Pilkington. Interesting stat, James Moran of Tiger Rag had it. Pilkington has actually started 4 times against LSU in his career. I'm sorry, he started 5 times in his career against LSU. And, this will be the 5th start. And he is 0-3 with a 4.09 ERA, and LSU has won all 4 games. This will be Pilkington's 5th start against the Tigers. So, LSU has had a lot of success against Connor Pilkington, and that's really good news going into this game. He's been an ace for Mississippi State. He's been their best pitcher, certainly, but LSU's had a lot of success. And as odd as this year's been, man, as tough as it's been for LSU, they've beaten good pitchers, man. Like they beat Connor Pilkington, they beat Blaine Knight from Arkansas, they beat Brady Feigl from Ole Miss. They beat Will Raby from Vanderbilt, who's trying to make a decision if he's going to go pro or return to Vanderbilt for next year. I mean, they obviously beat Casey Mize last weekend. It's been an odd year, man, because the good for this LSU team has been really good, which makes you feel like there's some promise and there's some potential there. But the flip side of it is the bad has been, blowing a 6-run lead, in the later innings against South Carolina or Ole Miss. It's just, it's been a weird season. D1 Baseball came out with their projections yesterday, and they've got LSU in among the last 5 in, but they've got LSU, I want to make sure that I have it right. They got LSU, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. I'm pretty sure those are the 3 among the last 5 in. Yeah, there it is. LSU, Texas A&M, and Kentucky among the last 5 in. You want to talk about teams that have a lot to play for this week in Hoover. I mean, I'm going to assume that the SEC is going to have 4 national seeds with Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Arkansas. I'm going to imagine those are locked in as 4 national seeds, and it would be a major upset if they didn't end up finishing that way. But how many teams the SEC gets in large part is going to be determined this week. So a quick thought. So LSU's obviously had success against Pilkington. There's an amazing stat. Paul Maneri, in his time at LSU, has won 6 in 12 years. He's won 6 SEC tournaments, and he's lost a total of 6 games in Hoover. It's astonishing. He has won as many tournaments as games he's lost. It's just... His teams have been remarkably good there. Even teams that went to Hoover thinking they were trying to play for a host site, got hot, won the whole thing, and ended up a national seed. That happened certainly in 2014, the Aaron Nolas last year. And now they lost the regional to Houston. That was a pretty flawed team, but they got hot in Hoover and earned a national seed. This team I don't think is built to win this tournament. It's baseball and weird things can happen, but I certainly think they can win today. The thing going against them, obviously, is that LSU's just been a very bad road team. They've moved to their. I mean, when you're 3 or when you're 4-16 on the road, whatever they are, you're a very bad road team. And sure, they can win big games on the road. We saw them beat Casey Mize last week, but the percentages aren't in their favor. And you'll find out everything you need to know about this team, because the long and the short of it is they have to win this game. If D1 baseball has been the last 5 in, you go lose this game. That's what Kendall Rogers said on our show last week when he said, look, if you're LSU, don't give the committee a reason to leave you out. He said losing the first game in the tournament would be a reason to leave you out. So they got them in right now. But today is everything. I think if they win today, they're in regardless of what happens in the rest of the SEC tournament. If they lose today, I think they're out. So we'll certainly talk plenty about that on tomorrow's show. But I'll tell you this much. I'm glad. We talked about Nick Bush yesterday, and I'm glad Bush is going. I'm not sure there's anybody I'd rather have the ball right now because he's been really consistent. But the flip side of that is State throwing Pilkington. And I talked about how LSU's had success against him. The thing that I really despise, though, is Gary Henderson throwing Connor Pilkington on short rest. And it's not 1 day, it's 2 days. And that's the problem. You're going to see a lot of teams set up their rotation because they pitched or they played Thursday, Friday, Saturday last week. You're going to see them set up their rotation for a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Essentially moved up 1 day. And that's not uncommon. You see it. Like teams go from playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday series to going a day bumped up when they play the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I'm okay with that. The problem is when you have a draftable prospect like Connor Pilkington, and now you're going to go, after he threw almost 100 pitches on Thursday, you're going to turn around and throw him on Tuesday. That's how college baseball got a bad reputation for ruining pitchers' arms. That's why great prospects wouldn't go to college baseball. And I look at Gary Henderson and I wonder if he's in an interim role right now, having replaced Andy Cannizzaro. And my guess is Gary Henderson's trying to win that job. So he wants to get into regionals and he wants to go on a run here. And he's doing what he thinks gives them the best chance to win this game. And he's not thinking about Connor Pilkington's future. And I think that's unfortunate. I don't know. I haven't heard what Gary Henderson has to say about it. And of course the kid's not going to turn down the ball. He's in college and he wants to go win and play for his team. And I respect that. But at some point, the coach needs to be the coach and say, and be the adult and say, we're not risking it. So a lot of people have asked, should LSU throw Zach Hess today? And my opinion is absolutely not. Mostly because, for what we just mentioned, but also because Todd Peterson's been great in that role. When you just say, hey, take the ball, go get me 3 outs and let it rip, throw it 95, 96, and just throw gas and get me 3 outs. He's been great in that role. And what's more is you need, like for better or worse, you need Zach Hess to be in your rotation. So if you win today, and I know it's an if, but if you win today, then you need Hess to take the ball tomorrow against Florida. And then Hilliard take the ball Thursday against TBD. So you've got to set up your rotation, because if Hess throws tonight and you burn him, then you've got no pitching for the rest of the tournament, or you don't have sufficient pitching for the rest of the tournament. So LSU and State scheduled for 4:30, but here's hoping it starts actually much later than that. One other thing I wanted to talk about, which is actually pretty good news for LSU football, Myles Brennan's father, Owen Brennan, spoke to the Mississippi Sun-Herald and actually gave LSU fans and Coach Ed Ogeron some pretty good news, because he basically, in so many words, said even though Joe Burrow has arrived on campus, Myles Brennan isn't affected by that at all. A couple of quotes from Owen Brennan. He said, I want people to know that emotionally it has not affected Myles at all. He's going to compete and feels very comfortable with where his position is right now. Also said, quote, here's what I think. I think Joe Burrow has 3 years and 15 pounds on Myles. That's it. I don't think he has a huge upper hand. That's interesting. And he also said of Myles, I think he's in a very, very good position to compete for the starting job. I really do. Went on to say that he has the utmost trust in Steve Ensminger and Ed Ogeron to make that decision, and that they'll play the best guy. That's really encouraging, because if there's one question I've been asked more than any other since Joe Burrow has signed, 2 questions actually. Number one, is he the starter? Like, does he make LSU immediately better? And number 2 is, who transfers? And I'll stay true to this. I think Justin McMillan leaves, and it would be a wise thing for him to leave. But the bigger question has been about the 2 young guys. And, if Brennan were to bounce, that would be pretty devastating for LSU, because you have no safety net if it didn't work out with Burrow. But according to Owen Brennan there, it sounds like his son's really content and happy with where he is and doesn't want to leave, which is fantastic, because, man, you added Joe Burrow, And theoretically, you made your starting quarterback a more physically ready to play veteran guy over anybody that you had. And that's great. But you left yourself, in essence, no safety net because you have to assume there's going to be attrition. And if McMillan goes, then you need Brennan around, because you'd hate to see McMillan and Brennan leave, and then Lowell is your only option behind Burrow, and then he hasn't played a lot and is really raw, and he'd be running a completely different style of offense and all these different things. So those comments from Owen Brennan have to be a huge sigh of relief for the LSU coaching staff and LSU fans by extension as well. So it'll be a very interesting fall camp, but my guess still is Joe Burrow didn't come to LSU to sit the bench. He's going to start against Miami week 1. By the way, yesterday Vegas came out with odds. LSU's a 3-point dog against Miami week 1. So even adding Joe Burrow didn't improve LSU's odds of winning that game. But still, it'll be an interesting fall, no doubt. But it looks like Myles Brennan, his father at least, answered one of those questions. All right, y'all, I got to wrap this thing up. Y'all, please check out our friends at Boudreaux's Mixers and Spices, Bloody Mary and Margarita Mix. Great local retailers. I covered the label, my bad. Available at great local retailers in the Baton Rouge area. Calandros, Calvin's, Alexander's, and check them out on all their social media. You can see where else they're available outside of Baton Rouge. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel. Please do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you tomorrow for Morning Scone.